Thank you very much indeed, and it is a great honour for me to be with you, representing the Scottish National Party at this historic and sombre commemoration, to be here on such an important evening as together we commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Nakba, when hundreds of Palestinian towns were destroyed, thousands of people were killed, and 750,000 Palestinians were driven into exile. It's humbling, it is truly humbling to be here. The Nakba, the catastrophe, is something which many believed, indeed some fervently hoped, would be forgotten in time. Something that they hoped would pass into history, along with the generations who had to live through the experience and the trauma of being forced from their homes and their land in 1948. But they were wrong. It hasn't been forgotten. And the reason it hasn't been forgotten is simply down to the resilience and the determination of the Palestinian people who refused to allow it to be forgotten. And that's why we're here today in central London, and that's why tomorrow in Australia, New Zealand, Chile, Canada, United States, Ireland, Scotland, indeed my hometown of Glasgow, and many, many other places across the world, millions will march or stand in solidarity with the Palestinian people. And they'll be there to remember, because you did not let us forget. But how could anyone ever have imagined that the traumatic events of 1948 could ever have been erased from the collective memory of the Palestinian people? How could the forced removal of almost 1 million people from their land and their homes be forgotten? Particularly when today the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of those who were displaced in the Nakba are now growing up and living in the same refugee camps in Gaza, the West Bank, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon and Egypt, the same places that their grandparents fled 75 years ago. And so rather than dissipating and easing with time, the memory of the Nakba is understandably both vivid and visceral, and the trauma that was the grandparents 75 years ago has now become the trauma of the grandchildren today. And that means that this cycle of multi-generational trauma is not going to go away. It's not going to disappear. And it will certainly not disappear by the world pretending that it doesn't exist and it's somehow not there. And on this 75th anniversary, the world, the international community, really has to accept its responsibility and really has to begin meaningfully and positively acting to correct the injustice of the Nakba. And that means closer to home in the United Kingdom, that if this United Kingdom government are serious about what they say about wanting to create a sovereign, independent, viable Palestine that lives in peace side by side with its neighbours, then they're going to have to do something. But I fear, and as Crispin suggested earlier, this current UK government have very little intention or desire to do anything soon. But if they did, then they should start by demanding the immediate cessation of Israel's illegal settlement policy, which more than anything else is undermining their stated aim of a two-state solution. And they should rip up and go back to the drawing board on their 2030 roadmap, which quite astonishingly, unbelievably, totally ignores the fact of the illegal occupation and fails to even mention the issue of human rights violations. Friends, we know, and we've heard already this evening, that the United Kingdom has a shameful and historic responsibility for what has happened to the Palestinian people over decades, and it's about high time they accepted that responsibility. The Palestinian people deserve justice for the crimes that were committed against them 75 years ago, and they deserve justice for the crimes that are happening right now, day in and day out. If it so chooses, the United Kingdom government can play its part in securing justice for the Palestinian people. But until it does, please be assured that there are people around the world, including the people of Scotland, I'm proud to say, who will continue to shine a light on the systematic discrimination you face, call out the erosion of your basic human rights, and demand the return of your identity and your homes. And together, until the UK government and the international community catches up, we will work with you to ensure that you and your history will not be forgotten. Thank you very much.